Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Arsenal Way podcast with me, Samrad and him, Ashwin. We're a brand new Arsenal channel made by two passionate gooners from India. We're present on all social media channels. We're on Twitter at the Arsenal Way, so please give us a follow there. We have a Facebook page where you can like and follow us. We keep updating our content there as well. Drop us, interact with us, drop us questions there, and of course our mainstay, which is our YouTube channel. So please subscribe, click the bell icon to be notified whenever we put up a new video. And of course, we try and put out two podcasts a week, usually. This time you'll see the frequency is increased because of course matches are also coming in after every 3 days. Having said that, Ashwin, good run so far. Three back to back to back Premier League wins at tough opposition. Southampton away, Wolves away. I mean, and just talking about the Wolves game, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought we didn't look overly threatened. The Adama Traore, the specter that was that was hanging over us, his pace and whatnot. I think outside of the first 15 seconds, right off the when kickoff happened, when he charged straight through and Martinez blocked him off, and then that chance in the second half when Traore tried to lob Martinez because he was again through. But outside of that, I thought it was a very well controlled game from us. The substitutions worked, the players put in a shift, and I don't think I've seen us play as well for the longest time. Apparently, this was our first away win against a team above us in 5 years. Um,
Since we
so
beat
yeah, I
Leicester
think
5-2.
yeah, that was so. It's good signs for the season and for the games ahead. And I generally didn't expect this. I thought we'll out of. I remember you and I talking about how many points we'll get in next five fixtures. I said nine. I think you said about 8 or 9 as well. And I think this was the result that both you and I thought that we probably won't get a result out of. We were counting on our away wins and of course the North London derby, but this was a pleasant win, and a very controlled performance by the team.
Um, it was it's followed by two. I think we've now won 4 games on the bounce, three away games and one home game. Uh, it's one of the best away performances I've seen in a really long time. And you can just see that because even though we went to Southampton and beat them 2-0, Southampton played City last night and they managed to beat City 1-0, which is not easy to do. Okay, you can say that City had an off game, but City dominated the ball. They were their usual brilliant self. They kept about 67, 65, 70% of the ball. They had tons of shots, but they just defended and defended and they managed to keep them out. So for us to go to a place, I mean, Southampton was a bogey place for us, and it usually is. For us to get a victory there and then to go to Wolves, where I don't think when the two of us predicted saying we will get any points out of there, we both predicted draws maybe. But for us to go and put in a shift over there and do really well, even though I felt when we started off we were a little imbalanced because Saka on the right, I don't really like him there. I feel he is a little ineffective there. His best is on the left where he can run at defenders and he just wasn't comfortable. But just saying that, he got the first goal for us and made the difference in the first half. Uh, at the moment, everybody thought Mikel Arteta would be Pep Guardiola, but for me, Mikel Arteta, I don't know if it's just his philosophy or if it's just the players that he's got and he's just trying to adapt. He's more Diego Simeone than Pep Guardiola in terms of the way the structure is set up. And maybe that has a lot to do with him just wanting to strengthen the foundations and start. He's like, if you're good defensively, then offensively you get better. Maybe he's also trying to just adapt to see whatever the best players that he's got with him to see how we can win games. So it's a refreshing change to see us defend well. It's a refreshing change to see us go put in an away performance like we did and beat Wolves. I think we restricted them to one shot on target the whole game. And you're right, like that Adama Traore threat. I was a little skeptical when he took Kieran Tierney out, and he took him out pretty early. He took him out, I think, in the 56th minute and got
Yeah,
Ainsley on. And I've loved Ainsley recently playing on on the right, but him coming on the left, I was a little skeptical. But he came on and he absolutely neutralized his threat and didn't let Adama Traore through at all. So it was a good substitution. We've been calling out Mikel for his starting lineups and his substitutions. But I think this game, credit where due, he's done really well to bring on Laka in the last 10 minutes and Joe Willock again. Two of them combining, and Lacazette getting, I think, his first away goal from since 2018. So it's brilliant. I think it's something that you and me have been asking for, saying that he's twice or thrice the price of what Giroud cost us, and Giroud got us goals, and he should be getting us goals. So hopefully now that the monkey's off his back, that he's got that away goal, he can contribute a little more, because we still have tough games coming up. We've got Leicester home, we've got Spurs away, we've got Liverpool home, Watford away, I think, and Villa, I think, at home. So with City and the semi-finals to go as well. So if I think about 7 or 8 games to go till the end of the season, and we need all the players that can help contribute and get us goals, because attacking wise we're still not there. I still feel our midfield is a little non-existent, even though Ceballos and Shaka had a very good game. And in midfield, I still feel we're struggling to transition the ball from middle to attack. Uh, we're depending solely on players bringing up their players being brilliant rather than us doing anything of great. Like maybe once or twice in a game, we string 3 or 4 passes together and come up with a great chance. But apart from that, I don't really see us transitioning the ball the way we used to under Wenger. But I'm pretty sure that will come once he sets the structure up and he gets the sort of players that he wants to play with. But at the moment, there's nothing to complain about. Absolutely thrilled with that performance, and beating Wolves has been it's been something that the other big teams have not been able to do as well.
You're right. I think the when you speak about getting a result at Southampton, getting a result at Wolves, a Wolves team that has done the double on City, um, Southampton that beat City yesterday, Sheffield United getting a result over Spurs,
I'm sorry, I'm
which shows
cutting
that
you
these are
right
tough
now.
places to go. Yeah,
Do you know this season City have lost more games than we have?
yeah, 9 games. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's
it's
astonishing stat. Yeah.
yeah, I know. It's what I'm trying to say is that these teams are not easy. I mean, for anyone to point fingers and answer said it was just Sheffield or it was just Southampton. They're not. These are the quality of so-called lower league, lower teams in the lower half of the table is really good. So for you to consistently beat these teams, you need to put up a performance. Also, I think what was interesting was someone mentioned that there are for you to qualify for the top four or be consistently in and or in around the Champions League places, you need to consistently beat these bottom 16 teams, bottom 15 teams rather. And then for you to actually make a push for the title, it has to be the teams above you. So it has to be the likes of Liverpool, City, United, etc., etc. So I think we're getting there. I think this was as clear a signal from Arteta in how he wants his team to set up, how he wants his team to play, as we'll see for a while. And I think there's finally some emergence of a game plan because it was very clear with what he was trying and what he wanted from his players. Also, I sort of understand. I know you mentioned you're not very happy with Saka playing on the right, but I understand that only because I think it was Cedric who was making an away start, so would have liked to give him a little bit more support on the right, and Saka, because of his running up and down completely, was maybe giving him that support. Um, but I thought everyone to a man, whoever came on, beat Cedric for whatever little time he was on, Bellerin for his short amount of time, Ainsley for his 32-minute stint, the subs from Willock, who just, I think the moment he came on, we just looked a little bit more threatening in attack. Lacazette, who just keeps running all the time. It was a good, even Torreira for that matter, who just gave us that burst of energy in the last 5 minutes when it seemed like we were sort of running out. The only point I would say is I think Kolasinac is still a liability, is still someone who is having difficulty even making the simplest of passes. He gets thrown out of position. There was that one incident in the first half where it was Tierney and two other Wolves players, and Tierney was super pissed with Kolasinac, and he turns around and says they're 2-on-1,
2-on-1.
is what he said. Um, so I think that, and because Kolasinac just let was just static, and he this relied on Tierney to clean up after him. But I think encouraging signs is there's a lot good that's happening. We're in a good space right now, and hopefully this confidence and this run continues. A word again for Martinez, who looked great again, who is now, I think, has given Arteta a very good headache in terms of who starts once Leno's back fit, because I don't think Leno can walk back into the team very easily, because both of them have got their characteristics. They both seem like good shot stoppers. Both seem to. I think Martinez has a little bit more command over his box, while Leno is a better shot stopper. But Martinez's distribution is something I think Leno doesn't have as yet. Um, Maybe that's something that can be worked on for Leno. But I think there it's a good space to be in right now. Once our folks come back from injuries next season, I think there's a lot to be excited for. Um, my final point, I think, on the game would be that players who I think we've written off for the longest time have started turning up. Emery, who I guess, be it because of communication, under whom Mustafi just seemed like a lost case, has come back and redeemed himself. There's not to say we can't do better. I think we can, but I think credit where it's due. Mustafi's been great.
There are
Xhaka,
talks of Mustafi getting a new contract, right? That they're giving him
yeah, and I mean, over his last 6 months, I mean, I would say, yeah, great stuff. Xhaka has been a rock after all that Xhaka has gone through the last year or so. I think it's commendable. It shows his mental strength that he's come back. Also, it shows Arteta has, like, people are buying into his project, into his project. There, after Saka signing, after Martinelli signed, there rumors of Oba also agreeing a new deal, which sort of gives me the understanding that people are buying into his Arteta's philosophy, into his thinking, where he wants players to be. And I guess this wasn't something. This feels a little slightly different from Emery. I know I don't want to give it false hope, but hopefully we finish the season on a high. Somehow manage to make it to Champions League. Again, it's not just us who need to win games. It's dependent on a lot of other results. But hopefully we have enough and more to do our job and then figure out what happens after that.
I'm glad you brought up Emery, because if you remember when Emery started off with us last year, we went on a 22 unbeaten run, I think, under Emery, and we on a similar run with Arteta as well. But the only difference between Emery and Arteta, what I see, is that in that 22 unbeaten run under Emery was there were we weren't comfortable in those games. It was either like a moment of brilliance where towards the end, like either an Oba or a Laka would bail us out, or we'd just get lucky and win those
Yeah,
games.
they weren't convincing wins.
Yeah,
These seem like convincing wins.
yeah. These seem like, what, we have a plan, we have a structure around it, and Arteta's worked on something, and people are more comfortable with their roles. They know what to do. Under Emery, it just felt like it was free flowing football, man. Like, just go and do whatever you want. So that's a good thing. Another good thing is that, yeah, you just mentioned about Oba probably signing again. If he's about to put pen to paper, where he's asked for a 3-year the rumors of him asking for a 3-year contract, 250K per week. I mean, that's something I think we can afford. We're giving Ozil 350, so 250 is not a problem for a person who's consistently banging in 20-25 goals uh, and being phenomenal for us. The only thing is, for me, if he's actually asked and he's agreed, he knows that either the club have already identified targets and he's happy with that, or we've already kind of completed 2 deals, but we're very quiet about it and we're not revealing it. So maybe he already knows that there's something happening in the back end, and I'm hoping that that's the case. There are also rumors about how this year the FFP is going to be relaxed because of Corona. So I'm hoping some the Kroenkes come and uh, dig into their pockets and give us some money and spend some money. Like, I mean, we did last season as well. We spent a lot of money. We spent close to almost 200 million last year with, like, say, the 72 million on Pepe and things like that. But I'm hoping that they really back Arteta, because I think Arteta's come out in 3 or 4 interviews and he's already mentioned it, saying that, what, if you stay stagnant, everybody else is going to move around you and you're going to get left behind. And he's like, if you're a big club, you don't sell your best players to and then replace them. He's like, you keep your best players and then you add on and then you make them stronger. So see, everything comes down to how much they back him and what they do in the transfer market. I don't know how long the transfer window is going to be open, and I don't know how people are going to sign and move to places. Everybody was talking about how this window is going to be affected by. Everybody's talking about how this window is going to be affected by Corona, and not a lot of people are going to move. But you've seen what Chelsea have already done. They've done some smart business already. Signed Hakim Ziyech obviously in Jan and picked up Timo Werner. The talks of Kai Havertz coming in as well. I mean, if Chelsea get those three, I mean, get Havertz as well, they're going to be like a force to reckon with this season. But next season, sorry. But yeah, ominous signs. Just before I move on to Leicester, let me just ask you who you felt was your man of the match, and if you had to rate Arteta on his lineup and his substitutions, what would you rate him?
Oh, that's a tough one. Man of match. I think just because purely on can I make it tied contender for man of the match? I would say Xhaka because I think he was great, and of course Martinez because that early going off his line to stop Traore from getting onto the ball as well as the save he made in the second half. I think both of them. That's not to say everyone else didn't have a great game or were not worthy of getting man of the match. I think these two guys were the highlight for me, of course.
Great. And what would you rate Mikel's lineup and his substitutions?
I think subs were bang on. I can't complain about the subs. Everyone who came on did a fab job. So I think the 10 on 10 there. Lineup, in hindsight, I think it was great because I think he made a smart choice. He made smart calls on players who were either raring to go or players who he's asked to come and prove themselves, and they have. And I think Ainsley is one of the biggest examples there. Who suddenly I think there seems to have been a U-turn, like a about turn in whether he wants to play as a fullback or not, because he's now coming out and saying that I never said I want to play central midfield. Like I'll play wherever the boss asks me. So I think a lot of credit to Arteta for changing that mentality and wanting to be a place where everybody wants to stick around and be there for the time being. So no, I think just on Arteta also, I think 10 on 10 to him as well for for the entire game.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, we gave him enough slack in the first two games for his lineups and his substitutions. But credit where due, he's done really well. So that was coming off two great away performances. I mean, we had a game against Norwich in between at home. We're now up against Leicester. Leicester have been shaky since the restart. They won a couple of games, they lost a couple of games. Uh, but then again, you have a 33-year-old Jamie Vardy who's still number one in the Golden Boot race, one goal ahead of Aubameyang. And it's something about Jamie Vardy, like how it was with Drogba and Arsenal and Manu and Arsenal when Rooney was there, that they somehow just gets goals against Arsenal. So we're playing him tomorrow. We're playing them tomorrow night before we have a 5-day break against Spurs. We'll get to the Spurs game later, but your thoughts for tomorrow in terms of what do you think Arteta is going to do, and who's he going to line up with, and if you think that maybe Mesut and Guendouzi come back into the squad, yes, no.
I mean, going by his recent press conference, I think the situation is still the same with Guendouzi and Ozil. I'm not seeing anything else there because I don't think he will start them now. Is for these next 2-3 games because he realizes the importance and he doesn't want anyone even who's got the slightest bit of doubt or any sort of influence on the team that might bring down the entire team. So I don't think either of them will play even if they're fit. Um, I actually think we will get a result tomorrow. Like you said, Leicester have been shaky from the start. Even though they got the 3-0 win their last game day, I think we have enough in the bank to win, especially because it's at home. Um, as far as lineups go, um, I see a similar back five. I don't think Kolasinac will play, but I think it will be a back four with Tierney, Mustafi, Luis, and um, I I would say Cedric. I think Cedric had a good game. He looked pretty decent going up front as well. I think it just ties in with what Arteta said, that he's threatening in the final third. Xhaka obviously starts. I think Ceballos will again start. Up front, it will be, I think, Saka, Nketiah, and Oba. I don't think Lacazette starts right now. I think the three of them with their, especially with Saka and Nketiah, with how much they press, and Alba with how much he presses the opposition defense as well as the goalkeepers. We've scored twice already just by Alba pressing, Alba and Nketiah pressing. So I think that is what my lineup would be. Also, I was reading something about Chilwell and Madison being doubtful tomorrow, so that will be great because they're important players for Leicester. And I think right now anything that we could get, we should try and any advantage we get, we should try and make use of.
See, the only way I don't see Kolasinac starting is if he's confused whether he wants to play Pepe. Because if Pepe comes in, then Saka has to move back to the left, and then Tierney has to move into left centre back, so that he can accommodate. And I still feel that he's not going to move to a back four. He's going to stick to his back three or a back five, that you want to call it, because I feel he's found a balance there where his defense has looked a little solid, and I think he's trying to build from there. So I think he still sticks with three centre backs. I don't know how he's going to line up, but if Pepe has to come back into the squad, I think he goes with David Luiz in the center, flanked by Mustafi on his right, and probably Tierney on his left, with Saka just playing ahead of Tierney in that wing back position. Uh, with I would pick Cedric Suarez as well. I mean, we given him one game and he's done decently at Wolves, so I think he starts Cedric Suarez as well. Up in midfield, I don't think you can drop Xhaka. I think Ceballos will play because it'll be too early for Torreira to come in. He'll probably save Torreira for possibly the Spurs game, but the two of them in midfield, and then because it's a home game and because Laka's got that goal, he might go with Oba, Laka, and Pepe up front. I don't know. It might be a little too attacking the side. He might not be able to get the best out of it because having Oba, Laka, Pepe. I mean, Oba does his defensive duties, but Laka and Pepe not so much. Uh, we might be a little imbalanced. So it's either this team or he starts with the same team again, and Pepe comes off the bench and plays the exact same three with Oba, Eddie, and Saka up front, and maybe with a little more rotation so that Saka can get into the game a little more. Because on the right, I felt that he was completely lost up until he popped up with a goal. But apart from that, it was more or less the same thing like against City, where I just feel that don't feel he's comfortable on the right because I don't see him taking on players. Because on the left, he keeps running at players. He keeps crossing the ball in. Here on the right, as soon as he gets the ball, he's looking to turn, he's looking to pass the ball. He's not looking at running at defenders. So I don't know. Maybe it's something that Arteta is trying to work on him as well. But I think that's how we're going to line up. Finally, for the predictions, I know you said we're going to win the game, but what are your predictions going to be? Pro, you're on mute.
I think we'll win by a couple. I don't see us keeping a clean sheet because it's Vardy. Um, uh, but at home, we had a 4-0 against Norwich, and we've been slightly more prolific at home than we have away. So I think we'll win by a couple. So I think 3-1 to us.
Uh, my heart says that we win 3-1 as well, but my head feels that I don't know. There's something in the game that it could be a slippery game if the way like we were talking about that day when Leicester played Chelsea in the in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, and the way they came out all guns blazing in the first half. If they set up and start like that, then we might be in trouble. It's a big boost for us that Chilwell and both uh, Madison are not playing, but that could just be mind games to before the game. I'm sure,
Yeah,
like
no, completely. I think it's
yeah,
just, I think Rogers realizes that his team is on a downward trajectory at this point, and he needs to arrest that. So, and he would, I'm sure, had fed into his players' heads that if we push them and they have the ability to crack under pressure. But still think that, especially with the fact that, especially just taking into account last result, I think that mental fortitude and resilience should see us through tomorrow.
And finally, talking about mind games, I know we have Spurs on Sunday, but Mourinho's already started the mind games with. If you've seen what's happened on social media, where he's blamed our team for not being able to celebrate anything bigger because we're not anywhere higher on the table. It's typical Mourinho. He's
I mean, it's anything to get under Arsenal's skin. I think Arteta and him have also had a few scraps when Arteta was with us. So I wouldn't pay too much heed on it. I think Mourinho has enough of his own problems with at Spurs as of right now. There's some talks. I was reading the Athletic, and there's some talks about how Harry Kane may want to move this summer as well.
I mean,
Even though they've tied him down to like a 6-year contract till 2024, I think he's looking at the squad and seeing where he was with Pochettino and where he is with Mourinho, and he's not. It's been the results have been degrading for the last year or so.
I mean,
Um,
I have to put my hand up. I was one of those guys who said that I wouldn't mind Mourinho after Emery, but seeing what he's done with Spurs and just how badly they played against Sheffield United, like that whole under Pochettino, this first side was a different beast. They would press, they would hunt down people, they would play efficient, fast, free flowing football. Under Mourinho, they look so bad. They make Emery's Arsenal look good. So
well, Emery's Arsenal did beat Spurs
4-2.
4-2. So,
Yeah, that's true.
and we
I mean,
almost got a result away if it wasn't for Oba missing
the
right
pen.
at that. But it's fine. I mean, it's. I think I actually I think we will get a result tomorrow. I just hope we don't have any injuries because I think the running and the physical exertion of the last game was a lot. Not something that is are used to, but I hope we're ready and we're all guns blazing for tomorrow night.
I think it's like just one more time that Arteta will have to rally the troops because after this we have a 5 day gap to Spurs. So hopefully he can give his players a couple of days off and then so it's just about one more game getting there. I know having the fans at the Emirates would have made a big difference tomorrow, but not having not the opportunity there. But anyway, they should be able to be up for it now. And 4 great games under our belt, we should continue this run. Hopefully we can finish as high as possible, and whether it's not Champions League, at least try making Europa. I know you and me have discussed how we don't want Europa as a distraction anymore, but some sort of money is better than not having money, and some sort of competition is better than not having any competition again. So anyway, that's been the pod, guys. Samrit's going for a 3-1 win. I'm a little skeptical sitting on the fence. I'm probably going for a 2-2. But it's been a fantastic week for us. Two players have extended their contracts in Saka and Martinelli. Oba's close. We've won 4 games on the bounce. In a while, we've beaten a tough top 6 team at Wolves, which other teams have not done. So it's been fantastic for us. This has been a pod, guys. We'll see you after the Leicester game. And just like Samrit said, like, share, and subscribe to our channels. We are the Arsenal Way on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. So please, guys, give us a share, like, and subscribe, follow. See you guys. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Ashwin.